Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have Andrew Liveris, who you all know, and also Bruno from UN Habitat, who's come in from Japan to be with us and to do the presentation of the gold certification today. So I'm not sure how you want to run this, but I think if everyone can make a statement and then we can go into questions, that might work. So, okay. It was really a great honour to have this international recognition of the work that Brisbane City Council is doing to improve the sustainability of our city. To have an organisation well respected like the UN Habitat to give Brisbane gold certification for its sustainability agenda is something that warms my heart and it makes me want to do more. There's obviously been a lot of work put in over many years to get to this point, but to have this international recognition of what we're doing drives me further, and I want to make sure that Brisbane is the cleanest and greenest city it possibly can be. We've come a long way. We've been carbon neutral since 2017. We have an amazing program of tree planting and reforestation. We're focusing on sustainable development. We're focusing on sustainable transport and travel patterns. There's a whole range of things that we're doing, but I want to thank Bruno and the UN Habitat for partnering with us to make sure that not only we can work together to make Brisbane more sustainable, but also that we can encourage more cities around the world to become part of this great program. Happy to answer any questions. I think I might hand over to Andrew to make a few comments, Bruno, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Thank you, Lord Mayor. Congratulations, massive congratulations to the United Nations Gold Standard Award. At Dow and sustainability and the SDG and the United Nations is very much part of my life. To elevate the city to that level is the continuation of the building of brand Brisbane. I'm all about building brand Brisbane. The Olympics is what I talked about to the council today, or the committee that's been assembled here, all the mayors and all the council people, is that this is all about setting the standard on inclusiveness and sustainability. And what better example than the award that you've just been awarded. So where we go from here is a continuation of the momentum to put Brisbane and Queensland on the world map. No less aspirational to make us a tier 1 city where everyone wants to come, everyone wants to be part of the Olympics, but people come here to stay, to visit, and to be part of this incredible livability that our city and region has. And that was the talk I gave to the conference just a few minutes ago. But again, congratulations to the Lord Mayor.
Thank you. It is a great pleasure for UN Habitat to be able to be here and to award that gold recognition for Brisbane in our SDG Cities Global Initiative. The SDGs, these are difficult targets. Getting sustainability done for cities is a hard job. But cities are so important for the sustainable development of the world. They're driving it, prosperity, the green development, climate. These are all very important issues, and so many things of that we see coming together in the programs of Brisbane, the vision of the mayor, and we think it's a start of an incredible journey for us to work with Brisbane and to work with the example and with also their guidance for the development of many cities in Asia Pacific and globally. Thank you.
Let me ask you, this is obviously a significant accomplishment. Are there any real-term benefits to Brisbane being performed more favourably globally after this event?
Look, Brisbane residents know they live in a clean, green city, but to have the stamp of approval from an organisation like UN Habitat, obviously we can wear this badge with pride, but also it makes us really focus on doing more. How can we become more sustainable as a city? How can we become more clean and green as a city? And so it drives us further. This is a point in time. Last year we achieved the silver certification. This year the gold. What's next?
Do you know of any other cities in the country that have reached that level?
We know there's a lot of work being done by other cities, and we've been talking to the mayors and Lord Mayors of other cities about this program. We hope to get them involved in the program as well. There's a lot of good work being done across Australia, and having them part of this UN cities program would be fantastic.
What about having this recognition as a city-led Olympics influence on the
Look, there's a lot of cities that say they are sustainable, and those claims to be backed up by a process from a major international organization adds that extra credibility. It adds that rigor to the whole process. And I think that's what's important. That way there's a measuring stick at the international level that we can judge how we're going and what more needs to be done.
Can I just ask you, what other cities around the world have reached that standard? Have any in Australia reached that yet?
No, actually, Brisbane is the second city that really gets to the gold recognition, and that's quite an achievement. We have been working with many cities, and our goal is to reach a network of 1,000 cities that reach to this SDG certification and recognition levels. The first one was in May, La Paz in Latin America. A very different city, very much developing many social challenges, and we are really glad that a city with a great strategy on green and clean development, on putting climate first in the lives of people in development, creating a healthy environment. We are very glad with Brisbane that this is the second gold recognition.
Ms. Lewis, you talked in there about the passion that you have for Brisbane and the goals for the next year. You talked about people and partners already being in the room. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Are you talking to major sponsors yet? What kind of position are you at?
Well, it's a classic chicken and egg question, because you've got to build the product to sell to a sponsor. But of course, relationship development, I've said to my board and to the Lord Mayor being on the board, he's heard me say this, Dow to become a top sponsor was an 8-year sell. Okay, so to get the knock on the door, to get people in the room is the beginning of that process. This is a stepwise process. And of course, there's the top level, which we don't touch because that's sector already agreed to by the IOC, although that is in flux as we go beyond Paris. Domestic sponsors, of course, speak to our region and sectors that are not part of top sponsors. We've begun all those conversations. We've identified how many firms are fitting into those categories, and we've begun a series of interactions, including boardroom lunches and the beginning of roadshows. And we're putting all that in place to begin the process, chicken and egg, of saying, this is our product, of course, the rings and the agitos, but below that, this is Brisbane. And this certification, by the way, big time, big time. You know, we talk about sustainability certification by third parties like the United Nations. I mean, that jumps right up into the brand. And so and of course, this weekend, I'm flying to Mumbai tomorrow to be part of the IOC annual meeting. I'll be giving a report on Brisbane, and I can now add this line to the report with your agreement and your agreement. This is phenomenal, and so that'll add to the sponsor conversations. In the room, a lot of work to be done, so I don't want to overgood expectation, but it's got to become a commercial enterprise, and that's the way we think about it: profitable, sustainable, inclusive, and that's our drive.
You mentioned in the brief before that the Brisbane Olympic will be across 10 cities, and it's kind of this new norm.
Yes, yes.
Do you think that the southeast, I'm assuming that those cities will be majority southeast Queensland, do you think that logistically, as a state that can handle that type of infrastructure and travel?
Well, I might even let the Lord Mayor make a quick comment, or maybe more than a quick comment on that, but that's the plan. Okay, that's the plan. I mean, yes, it's a challenge. No question. Implied in your question is we're a big state. There's Cairns and Townsville, by the way, don't forget. So it's not just South East Queensland. And so that's one of the things we're working very much on is delivery, okay, and event delivery and people delivery in a sustainable way. And so the answer has to be yes. Look, if you're going to give new norms to any country, give it to Australia. If you're going to give new norms to any country and any state, give it to Queensland. If you're going to, because we're dealing with distance here all the time, if you're going to figure out how to actually cut across the cultures to tie us all together with aesthetic beauty, natural beauty, lifestyle, weather, we all have that. But then how do we attract the tourists, and how do we bring them there, and how do we attract the investors? That's the plan.
Let's talk about earlier in the week about cricket and squash being shortlisted for LA. What's the process if they do make it to the LA Games? What's the process? Is that guaranteed for Brisbane, or is there another discussion that's had up?
Definitely another discussion. That's an LA decision. I'm personally very excited by it. You can imagine, of course, I'm going to India, right? So you can imagine the subcontinent and its interest, and obviously the opportunity that brings in terms of companies and sponsors and all that. So, and of course, Australia doesn't mind cricket either, or squash. So we are sitting here with LA lining up to get those accepted this weekend, in fact. Post that, obviously, they have to be implemented. We are working very closely with LA, of course Paris, but LA is much more in our bandwidth to actually figure out, how they execute against that. And of course, the ones that they're proposing, there will be a big inbox. We already have that inbox of sports being proposed for us. But if I said that cricket wasn't on it, I'd be absolutely, totally telling a mistruth. Cricket's on the list, of course. Of course I would. Of course I would. But I played pretty much every sport as a young person, so I like a lot of sports. It's kind of my passion, but I love the idea of cricket being part of the Olympics.
So would that be discussed in any way?
Not Brisbane, but LA, yes.
Will that issue of cricket possibly being played in Brisbane?
No, definitely not. Too premature. Too premature. So no. But we're in the room. Back to the room. so we're in the room, and that's definitely something that the synergy of that is just so obvious.
Very passionate about this project or about room. What's the elephant in the room for you?
Oh, look, salesman, thank you for that compliment. I'm also an engineer and I'm a project manager, and I've built things. I've built a lot of things, and pretty much all those things blow out a budget pretty quick if you don't keep tight controls. So he knows, I know, we all know that that's the elephant in the room that we're not avoiding, we're managing. And so we have to be very careful how we deploy funds against our projects, which of course is the role mostly of state and federal government, clearly city councils as well. And we are the people that benefit from the delivery, but you all benefit from delivery because it's for the state. It's for Southeast Queensland, so we have to get that right. So yeah, that's not an elephant in the room per se, but is an obvious point. Project control.
So you talked about brand Brisbane. I think the international media were told a month or so ago at a briefing that the challenge is to find what is it that helps Brisbane stand out. How big is that thing? How's that going?
Look, it's early days, and I'd also not be telling it correctly by saying, are we known out there in the world? Not really. This will help. These sorts of things will help. I hate the term tier 2 city, but Australia from a long way away is Sydney, maybe Melbourne, the Opera House, and so we've got focus groups going on. We've begun the education process. We're engaging key audiences. We're working with the city and state and federal agencies to start pushing the brand out there. I mean, my worst answer is, did you win the bid? When I get an answer like that out there, I say we've got work to do. So look, so I'm telling it as it is. We are going to have to overcome that, but we have time, and we have a plan, and we have a method, and we are definitely engaged in all the instruments of an incredible sale. This says, don't mind me saying it, Lord Mayor, I said it day one of me getting this job, we're a lifestyle superpower. That's not the brand, but boy, oh boy, we have a lifestyle that the rest of the world needs to know about. And that is back to my salesmanship. We're going to get people to come and visit and see. Okay? Yeah. This is the Lord Mayor's conference, so yeah.
Just the inquiry into the report just on their thoughts on questioning the redevelopment of the Gabba and perhaps looking at other venues. What were your thoughts?
Look, Senate inquiries are a necessary part of a process. I mean, clearly there was a need to do that post the Melbourne decision. We're not Commonwealth Games, we're the Olympic Games, and we're a very different business model. That was really the main point. The issues that are unearthed in there are all manageable, all handleable, and we are in direct dialogue with the community of Raven Park. So as an organiser committee, you might want to make a comment about that too.
Guys, we have a couple more minutes because we're on a big tight schedule. So,
Can I ask you a question about some comments the APCS made yesterday about traffic congestion around Brisbane and the lack of ambition by federal and state governments to tackle that issue in Brisbane? Have you got any thoughts on that? Originally came back to Vancouver early this year, and they talked about a major investment in buses and public transport. Did that get anything?
yeah, look, absolutely. I agree with the RACQ on this. If we don't have a correction in course, we risk becoming like other places that are absolutely gridlocked. That there is another way, there is another path. Now, the critical question is, when we have the Olympics here in 9 years' time and the Paralympics, do the transport solutions for the Games, are they temporary or are they permanent? Are they something that is just cobbled together to make the games run smoothly and then disappears after the games? At the moment, there is discussion about exactly that. There's talk about temporary transit lanes. There's talk about temporary park and rides. Why not have them permanent? Why not have permanent transitways and busways? Why not have permanent park and rides? Why not have permanent solutions? And so I absolutely agree. But these are the discussions that have to be had. The other thing I wanted to point out is that in Australia, 81% of all taxation is collected by the federal government, 16% by the state government, 3% by local government. Now, we are spending more than we have ever spent before on building infrastructure, whether it's Brisbane Metro, new bridges, road upgrades. We are putting everything into it. The thing that will make a difference is the federal and state governments coming to the table more. I know the state is doing a lot, but the federal government, their only contribution so far has been to call in question a whole range of projects in their 90-day review. Like, this is very concerning. They should be putting more into these projects, not calling into question the existing approved projects. They should be putting more into new projects. They should be focusing on what more can be done.
Does this relate to the Wynnum Road corridor upgrade? Is the council dragging its feet on that project?
Well, look, we completed stage one of the stage one actually, and stage two of the Wynnum Road corridor upgrade. Look, there's more to do right across the network, but as I said, the majority of all of our taxes go to the federal government, and the federal government seems to be very selective about where they spend their money. Queensland, Brisbane, Southeast Queensland needs more of that federal investment, and at the moment, the existing investment that was approved by the previous government is being called into question. That is not okay. There should be more investment. We've heard of record surpluses that have been generated at the other two levels of government. There's been windfall surpluses. That needs to go back into better transport, better infrastructure to help our livability.
Last ones, guys. Last ones, if that's all right.
I'm concerned about tomorrow's protests, and are you hoping the police will be in place to manage the protests?
I am really concerned about what I've seen as a rise in anti-Semitism in our community. It is something that's really disturbing to me, and I know to so many people, because we know where this can lead. The reality is there is no justification for terrorism where women, children, and babies are being slaughtered. There is no justification for that. And to think that some people are trying to justify this at the moment is sickening to me. These lives are precious. This should not be justified. And certainly hatred has no place in Australian society. We pride ourselves on being a society where everyone gets along. And until now, there's been a great level of harmony in our community. We want to keep it this way. And so what's happened in Sydney and Melbourne, we don't want it happening here. We say no to that. We say yes to harmony. We say yes to peace. And we say no to hatred.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We're ducking down to the exhibition area to have a walk through if anyone wants to get some overlay. Brings an edge, toss it down there if anyone wants it.